I thought the C in cEDH stood for casual.
Yes, Professor, the C stands for casual. Although a bit unintuitive, I believe that cEDH is a more casual way to play Commander than, well, casual Commander. Bit of a wild claim, I know, but hopefully over the course of the video you'll come to see my reasoning. I often see players that don't normally play cEDH joke that the C stands for casual, and it got me thinking that maybe there is a little bit of merit to that. A quick TLDR on what cEDH decks are. As written by the command bracket system, they are decks that are built with a cEDH metagame in mind, which mean they have win conditions that are the most efficient and most consistent, and gameplay that involves prioritizing victory over a deck doing its thing. I would like to ask you guys to define what a casual Magic experience is for yourself, and see if it lines up with what I'm going to say today at all. Personally, I would consider a casual experience the simplest and easiest way to enjoy Magic for everyone involved. I've got several topics I want to go over that make me believe cEDH is a more casual experience than Casual Commander. Rule Zero discussions, deck building, budget, as well as touching on some misconceptions regarding cEDH pods that I often see. Going over Rule Zero discussions between casual and cEDH pods are drastically different. Within a typical Rule Zero discussion, one would need to share their deck's power level and consider how it might compare to other decks presented in the pod. Already there are several issues that can arise from such a discussion. Everyone's perception of power levels are different. Let's take a casual Oswald list for example. If you yourself believe that tutors are extremely powerful, seeing an Oswald might make you believe that their deck is super strong. And vice versa. If you don't believe tutors are super powerful, then seeing an Oswald might not be as powerful as of a deck in your eyes. Already, people's perceptions on the same deck are different without knowing what's inside. In saying that, there's nothing inherently wrong with either assumption, it just means that you'll need to talk with the Oswald player about what they believe their deck's power level is. Another minor issue with Rule Zero discussions are angle shooters. Yes, my Magda deck is a bracket 3 deck, technically, after they've taken like a cEDH list with 3 game changes and barely scraped by. Rarely will you actually come across this. More often than not, you will come across players that don't exactly know where their deck sits within a power level or the bracket system, either because they haven't taken a lot of effort to play their deck and figure it out themselves, or they're not super experienced in Magic the Gathering. There can be a lot of different factors that contribute to this, but more often than not, you will come across people that don't actually know where their deck would fit in the bracket system, rather than people trying to be malicious about it. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of this. However, there is a simpler and faster way to hold a Rule Zero discussion, and it's one word. Kind of. cEDH. Already the expectations are set for the pod. There's no need to debate power levels, brackets, whatever you perceive to be strong and what other people perceive to be strong or not. Everyone is already on the same wavelength. So if asked which is a more casual experience between cEDH and regular Commander pods, I would argue that cEDH Rule Zero discussions are already a lot more casual experience if you were to go and play a game at your local game store. Another point I'd like to bring up is deck building in EDH. While it could almost be considered an art to some people, deck building isn't for everyone. That's okay. Not everyone has the time or interest in creating a deck completely from scratch. When getting into cEDH, it's encouraged that you find an established deck list with a primer, which is essentially a tutorial for that deck, to help situate yourself into the format. Every cEDH deck is the same, which, first off, no, but also if it were the case, what's wrong with that? Seeing another deck across the table that you know allows you to strategically play around their deck, but the same is true for yourself. Others will know what your deck does, and you'll need to keep that in mind when going about your game plan. rarely will you be able to gotcha someone. With many cards shared between decks, it's easier for players to understand their application. It also allows players to gain knowledge that will be useful in future games, lessening the mid-game needing to learn what cards do. In saying all of that, when it comes to a casual table, you may come across cards that you've never seen before in your life. It can be wacky, it can be fun, and it can be very silly, but it means you'll need to take on new and apply new information mid-game, which may only be used for said game. This can come up at any time, so it'll always be impossible to know exactly what someone is planning, which means more guesswork. I need to reiterate that there's nothing wrong with this, but between a shared knowledge of general card pools and the expanse of any Magic card, I would say the former would lead to a more casual experience at the table. Touching on the deck choice misconception in cEDH real quick, while not every deck is the same, there are a lot of similarities. Although, you would pretty much find anything that covers an archetype. You have General Blue Farm for good stuff, Kennen if you do mana value, Rogthras for creatures and Cradle shenanigans, Sisane for planeswalker combos, a Gruul Turbo Watali, Ruby Storm-esque Ral, Artifact Dargo Timna, Lumbra lands combo, and there are a lot more decks within the scope of cEDH than some may actually believe there to be. In saying all of that, one may be concerned about the cost of a cEDH deck. Playing with what can be considered the most powerful cards surely comes at a cost. Nah, not really. You can pick up a cEDH deck for about a tenth of the price of any precon. Between casual and cEDH pods, cEDH highly encourage proxies, especially for 4 or 5 color decks where you'll need a lot of OG duels. Print out a 100 card deck, then use some draft chaff and sleeves, and you'll have a deck that any cEDH player will be happy to face. They always want to verse you, the player, not your wallet can buy. And if you've come across the unfortunate fate of a cEDH player not being okay with that, they probably aren't worth playing against in the first place, so you've dodged a bullet anyways. Sitting down with your casual deck at your LGS for a pickup game of Commander, proxies will be an uncommon sight. They'll be around, sure, but there's plenty of discussion online about how morally correct it is to proxy. Where does one draw the line between what is okay and what is not okay to proxy in a casual game of Commander? Between the relaxed nature cEDH pods have for proxy cards, encouraging people to proxy so they have more players, and then the debates about how okay proxy cards are in casual lists of Commander, cEDH again feels like a more casual experience in this regard. For extremely simple Rule Zero discussions, the ease of deck building and a super cheap bar of entry, cEDH just feels a lot more like a casual experience for a Magic player than casual Commander. Just to finish up the video, I would love to hear from a lot of people. I'm very curious to see if this resonates with anyone or if I've somehow just missed the mark completely. I've had several thoughts and opinions and am gonna quite enjoy throwing my beanie into the Magic Yap chat here on YouTube, so to speak. I've already got a few other video ideas in mind, which I'll try to get up soon. I still want to explore some misconceptions about cEDH, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for questions casual players have or opinions they have for that. Otherwise, if you did enjoy the video, please do subscribe and drop a like, and have a wonderful rest of your day.